Genesis 31 through 35. So now, Jacob wants to leave his in-laws, take his family back to his own land. So he did the thing with the cattle, and the cattle produced the cattle with the stripes and speckles and all that. So he got most of the cattle. So he increased, and his father-in-law Laban decreased, basically. So Laban heard that Jacob took everything away, and he's gotten all his father's glory, and his father's lost everything, and all this. So Jacob knew his relationship with Laban wasn't as good as it was before. But you know, Laban kind of used him and tricked him and all that. So God told Jacob to return to the land of his fathers and take his family with him. So he told Rachel and Leah to get what they had and let's go. We got to go. You know, so he basically told them how their father did him. So they did what they did, took their things and left. But Rachel took one of his images, his molten images, which is, you know, the idolatry thing where you worship the image. Like, you know, some of the Hinduists, and you see in China the statues of the people praying and all that, they bow to them, they worship the images. So Rachel snuck and took it. You know. So they left, and Laban heard they was gone, so he went on a journey with his men after him. But God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream and told him not to say good nor bad to Jacob. So Laban overtook him, and Laban told Jacob, "What have you done? You took my daughters captive, like you took my daughters captive, and you've taken everything away from me. But why would you take my images? I mean, if you would have stayed and stuff, you could have left and we could have had a ceremony and all this, but you just snuck out and left, and why did you take my gods?" So Laban worshipped other gods. He didn't worship the God that Jacob worshipped, and but he saw God was making Jacob prosper, because God even visited Laban in a dream and told him not to say nothing to Jacob, good nor bad. So think about that. Laban worshipped other gods, yet the true God came to him in a dream. So do you think he turned to God? Or did he keep going to his gods? But Jacob told him, you know, go through my man's stuff, go through everything. If you see your God, then whoever took it, let him be killed. But he didn't know that Rachel was the one that took it. So he went through all the tents, and Leah's tent, Jacob's tents, all the men's, and Rachel's. But Rachel was on her monthly, so she couldn't get up off of her camel that she was riding on. And she had the God in the satchel of the camel. So he didn't find the image. But Jacob was mad with Laban because he thought he's accusing him. You know, he's asking him, well, what did I do to you? Why are you after me and searching through my stuff and you found nothing that was yours? And he told him, you know, I was with you 20 years and served you for 14, and you changed my wages 10 times. You know, you cheated me, and I made you prosper, but I was getting nothing. You know, God seen my affliction. You know, and, you know, God rebuked you, told you not to say nothing good nor bad to me the other night. So they basically made an oath, ate, drank, built a pillar of stones for a witness that they would not come after each other. And then he also told him, Laban told him not to afflict his daughters or take other wives besides them, but God's a witness. So then they just did their thing and made their vows to each other. Another thing, you promise your words. You know, people today, you don't get a real vow from people. People don't keep their word. So Jacob went on his way, and the angels of God met him. He saw him. And he was going to go meet Esau, his brother. So he told his servants, get the oxen and flocks and all that, and to give gifts to Esau. And he separated them in bands because he didn't know if Esau was still mad at him, was going to kill him, or what. So he separated them in different bands of people, groups to go. And him and his wife was at the very back. So they go up, and they met Esau and told him, your servant Jacob's been in the land of Laban, and and he got gifts for you. And they told Jacob, they went back to Jacob, told him that Esau's coming to meet you with 400 men with him. So Jacob was just afraid. He's in distress. So he was freaking out because, like, man, Esau's still mad at me. He's gonna come kill me. He wanted he separated them so if Esau did start killing the people, the other ones could escape. And so God prayed to him, told him he's not worthy of all his mercies and all his truth that he showed him. Asked him to deliver him from the hand of his brother because he fears him. And he didn't want, Esau to kill his children. So he lodged there. He stayed there that night. And had all kinds of animals to give his brother. So, to try to where by the time he got to Jacob, he would be happy that he gave him all the animals and all that stuff. So he sat there, and he took that night and took his wives and his women servants and his sons over the brook, and they laid there, and Jacob was alone. And there he wrestled a man until the breaking of the day. And when he saw he didn't prevail against him, he touched the hollow of his thigh, and the hollow of Jacob's thigh was out of joint as he wrestled him. And the man said, "Let me go, for the day breaketh." He said, "I won't go until you bless me." And he told him, "Well, what's your name?" And he told him, "Jacob." He said, "Your name shall no more be Jacob, but Israel. For as a prince hast thou power with God and with men, and hast prevailed." So he asked him his name, and he asked us, "Why do you ask me my name?" And he blessed him there. And then God named the place, he named the place Peniel, for he seen God face to face, and his life is preserved. And he halted upon his thigh because it's out of joint. And since that happened, the people of Israel don't eat the hollow of the thigh, where your thigh meets your waist. So he looked up and he saw Esau coming. And he put the women back behind him and stuff, and he bowed before Esau 7 times to the ground. Esau ran and met him and embraced him, fell on his neck and kissed him, and they wept. And he saw the women, and he asked them, who are they? And he told them it's his family that God graciously given him. God graciously given him. He was thankful for his family. He was thankful for his children and his wives. And a lot of us, we take it for granted for what we have. I do. I take it for granted. I take everything for granted for what I have. Sometimes I hate my job. Sometimes I hate some of the situations I'm in. But I take it for granted. But there's a reason that God puts me in these situations that I'm in. So Esau declined his offerings and stuff like that, his sheep, because he had enough. And so they made peace and went their way. And Jacob found a little plot of land where he built his stuff and his stables. And they lived on. So now Dinah, the daughter of Leah, she went to see the daughters of the land. And Shechem, the son of Hamor the Hivite, the prince of the country, saw her, and he took her and laid with her, and defiled her. He loved her. He spake kindly to her, and he wanted her. He basically, like, he worshipped her. And Jacob heard that they defiled her, and his sons were the cattle, and Jacob held his peace until they were come. So the sons came out the field, and they heard it, and they were grieved, and they was mad, they was wroth, because they defiled his daughter, and their sister. And, so Hamor communed with them, telling them that his son longs for their daughter, and he prayed that they give him to for a wife. They wanted to make marriages with them. They wanted their daughters, and they wanted them to take their daughters, for them to be one people, to grow together, to have a treaty, basically. They could live there and do trade in the city and all this, and basically be united. So the sons of Jacob told him, they said, we can't do this thing to give our sisters to one that is uncircumcised, for it's a reproach to us, because, God's covenant with them was for them to be circumcised. Physically circumcised. But, you can look at it like uncircumcised as being unrighteous, so you don't want your daughters to be with a wicked man, and you don't want your sons to be with wicked women, and all this. So they told him, you have to be circumcised, and we'll give your daughters to us, or to you, and we'll take your daughters, and we'll be one people. And then if you don't, then we'll take our daughters and be gone. So they went with it. They was like, okay. So they got all the men of the city and to go to the gates, and they circumcised them all. All the men, even the king and the prince, they all got circumcised. And then on the third day, when they was still sore, they was barely moving around from being circumcised, Simeon and Levi, they took a sword and they went and killed all the males in the city. 2 men overtook the city because everybody else was sore and they couldn't barely move from being circumcised. And then they took all the women of the city, the money, the goods, and everything. They took all of it. And Jacob freaked out. And he told him, he said, you trouble me. You make me stink among the inhabitants of the land. And they'll all be against me and will be destroyed. And they told him, well, should they treat our sister like a harlot? So they stood up for their sister, and they took the men out. Because of, at first I took it as they were racist, because they didn't want their daughters to be with the men of the city, and they didn't take the women of the city. But it was just because of the circumcision. Well, it could have been like that, but... So give me your thoughts on that if you get this part. So God told him to rise to Bethel, and he made an altar there. And then the people was afraid to mess with him, so they didn't touch him. Now he told the people, arise, and we'll make an altar to God who answered me in my day of my distress. And they gave Jacob all the strange gods which were in their hand, and all their earrings which were in their ears, and Jacob hid them under the oak which was by Shechem. And they journeyed, and the terror of God was on the cities that were round about them, and they did not pursue after the sons of Jacob. Now you think about that. God was blessing them and helping them, but yet the people still had strange gods. He even said they had earrings in their ears. And when they went, they took the earrings out of their ears. I have earrings. Women wear earrings. Men wear earrings. So does that mean when we go to get close to God, we take all of our earrings out of our ears for the women and the men? It's just an honest, simple question. The thing was, they worshipped other gods as they was worshiping God. And they had to make themselves clean to get to God, to get close to Him. So, are we clean? What makes us clean? So they went to Luz in the land of Canaan and all that, and then they built an altar there, and God appeared to him, where a place where he fled from his brother. But then Deborah, Rebekah's nurse, died, and she was buried, and God appeared to Jacob and blessed him and told him his name will be Israel, and he'll be fruitful and multiplying and nations shall be of thee, and kings shall come out of thy loins. And, he promised him the land, and God went up from him. So Jacob set a pillar there. Then they journeyed more, and then Rachel was in travail. She had hard labor. And the midwife told her, you'll have a son. And it came to pass, as her soul was departing, she died. And she had a son, and his name was Benjamin. And she died and was buried. And Jacob set a pillar upon her grave. And they journeyed, and then Reuben went and laid with Jacob's concubine. So now the sons of Israel were 12. The sons of Leah, which was 6, was Reuben, Simeon, Levi, Judah, Issachar, and Zebulun. That's 6. Rachel had Joseph and Benjamin, so that makes it 8. Bilhah had Dan and Naphtali, so that's made it 10. And Zilpah had Gad and Asher, which made it 12. So then Jacob came to Isaac, and then Isaac died and gave up the ghost, and Jacob and Esau buried him. So that's Genesis 31 through 35.